A very good evening to everybody. Thanks for clicking on to the very early edition of the Friday Tropical Outlook. It is a Hurricane Helene special. The time is now around about 12:45 a.m. here in the UK and around 7:45 p.m. on Thursday in the US and the East Coast anyway. And we have got a Category 4 Hurricane Helene. Now, over the last several hours, we've steadily seen this system become a lot better organized. Its presentation in infrared, visible satellite imagery has all become much clearer. And essentially, what is happening is after having a bit of a hard time during its first stages of its journey, developing to the east of the Yucatan Peninsula, it was somewhat lopsided. It was encountering a little bit of shear. It was encountering dry air off the Yucatan itself. That was inhibiting the inner structure of the system becoming better defined, better organized, and with a poorly, organized inner core, the system had a hard time really getting going. It was never going to use that optimum fuel beneath the waters that can provide rapid intensification, going from a Cat 1 to a Cat 4, even Cat 5 in the space of a day and a half or so. We've seen systems in this region do that in the past, but because of the poorly organized circulation within Helene itself, it was slow to get off to the races. But it looks as if it's a kind of delayed but not denied kind of story with Helene. And unfortunately, you can see on this visible satellite imagery here, the clearing out of the eye just at the very end of the loop here. So throughout the course of today, it's been having a hard time defining its eye, seeing the clouds dissipate, fall away, and provide that hole that you would often distinguish with a very powerful hurricane. So the conditions are optimum. We've got a cut-off area of low pressure over the southern United States at the moment here, and that is providing very optimum atmospheric conditions, very strong divergence in the upper levels of the atmosphere is kind of almost fanning the flames of this system. And that cloud, by the way, has been venting off. We've seen tremendous outflow getting driven all the way up to Maine, for example, in the far northeastern half of the United States here. So this cloud shield getting blown off the top of Helene has been almost covering the entire eastern seaboard of the United States. But a very ominous look is being portrayed now on visible satellite imagery, IR imagery, etc., etc. And the story is rather clear and rather stark. This is off the NOAA website here, showing that we do have, as of 2300 UTC, extremely dangerous Category 4 Helene heading towards the Florida Big Bend. As of 7 p.m. Eastern Time, the position update is that the center was located near 28 degrees 0.3 west, minus 84.4, with a movement of 23 miles per hour. So it's accelerating in a northeasterly direction here. It's now starting to feel the effects of the high to the east, the low to the west-northwest, and it's essentially getting driven and pushed by a fairly brisk southerly flow. But that southerly flow is not impeding the environment within Helene, and therefore we're seeing what is becoming quite a steady rapid intensification process. So there is websites, unfortunately, that have crashed due to exceptional demand at the moment here, but you can see off the National Hurricane Center to say that an extremely dangerous Category 4 Helene heading towards the Florida Big Bend. A weather flow station at Egmont Channel near the entrance of Tampa Bay recently reported a sustained wind of 54 and a wind gust of 71 miles per hour. Tropical storm force conditions are approaching the coastline of Florida's Big Bend, a weather flow station at St. George Island recently reported a 46 mile per hour gust. But the maximum sustained winds now at 130 miles per hour, and this system is going to probably even strengthen further before it makes an official landfall on the Big Bend of Florida, just to the east of Apalachicola. We've got a very, very serious storm surge threat. I'll get there. Storm surge threat with this, and upwards of 15 to 20 feet of storm surge is expected above the high tide level, generally just to the east of where the center makes a landfall. But I wanted to show you here, this is the inhibiting factors that kind of stopped Helene becoming very powerful very early on. This is an amazing high resolution, up close view looking down at a low level circulation here. This was actually the little spin. What essentially happened was we had mesovortices that were running around a common center, and we had the mid levels detached from the low levels, and the mid levels detached from the upper levels. So it was a tilted system. It was not vertically aligned and coupled, so that had significant reason behind the lack of rapid intensification. But once it moved away from the Yucatan Peninsula, it was still ingesting dry air off Mexico itself, and that was also having a negative influence. But as it was transiting northeastwards over the eastern side of the Gulf of Mexico, conditions were gradually becoming more favourable, and helped by the fact that we had the trough digging south over the lower 48. That was creating a very conducive atmospheric environment in which Helene was able to shake the dry air, enter this optimum environment within the atmosphere, riding the loop current underneath. And we're now steadily seeing the conditions become more and more favourable. You can see these tweets here put out way back on the 25th, which was earlier yesterday. The core of Helene, this is my own Twitter feed, core of Helene is tightening and strengthening and likely commencing as much as expected a period of rapid intensification just to the east of Cancun. Currently sustained winds 70 miles per hour, soon to become Cat 1 hurricane. Now, the dry air and the lack of organisation within our inner core actually meant that the conditions, it slowed down the intensification process of Helene. You can even see this here again several hours later. The convection was trying to blossom. We had these hot towers developing, wrapping around what appeared to be a centre of Helene, but it just was not overly coming together as expected. But it looks as if we have a situation, unfortunately, now where this system is rapidly intensifying, and it is, like I said already, likely to become even stronger prior to a landfall. And this is the threat here. This is what we are concerned about. This is a tweet here by Michael Lowry, tropical expert, showing that generally to the north of Tampa, within the Tampa Bay region itself, we've got the potential of a 5 to 8 foot storm surge. Then further north, 8 to 12 foot. Then once you get into the Nature Coast region and the Big Bend itself, we've got as much as 15 to 20 foot of storm surge expected. And that includes Apalachicola, by the way. And this is obviously happening now. We're seeing these conditions become a real situation unfolding here. So as I continue to play through, this is an interesting tweet here by Ben Knoll, showing that Helene's cloud band extending 2,000 miles from the Gulf of Mexico to Maine as tropical moisture streaks up the eastern seaboard, a large footprint. The storm is forecast to intensify until landfall in Florida's Big Bend this evening as the fourth US hurricane landfall this year. So despite the fact that the numbers have been relatively low compared to expectation, we are still seeing quite a lot of hits on the lower 48. This is a tweet here earlier on by Dr. Phil Klotzbach of CSU. Helene, now a major hurricane, so obviously this is when it became a Category 3 or greater, with maximum sustained winds of 120 miles an hour. The second major hurricane of the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season. This is obviously the second. Beryl was the first one, and we know that Beryl became a Category 5 in the Western Atlantic Basin. On average, the second Atlantic major forms on the 19th of September. Looking further on here, I'm going to try and show you a few other interesting things here. This is another interesting about the inner core of Beryl itself. Michael Lowry says that not a great sign when mesovortices, little fingers curling into the eye from the eye wall, start showing up on radar and visible. These play an essential role in the strengthening process. Also, it's partly why we say never go out during the eye. They're extremely dangerous. So you've got these mesovortices, actual spins that run around the inner eye of the system itself. We've got lightning there. We've got also exceptionally powerful winds here. That's essentially the band surrounding the eye itself that contains the maximum sustained winds of 130 miles per hour, gusts greater than that as well. So looking further on, you can see here that this was an IR imagery here that I tweeted out not that long ago, showing that I just simply said Helene has that look. Our thoughts and our prayers are very much with those in the path of Helene, and we know that this is not going to just dissipate at the coast. It's moving at in excess of 20 miles per hour. It's riding a southerly flow, and it's going to be barreling its way up through the northwest of Florida and through the state of Georgia as well. We're going to see winds in excess of 70 miles per hour, even greater than that, through the Atlanta metro area. And this system is likely to produce hurricane conditions all the way up to North Georgia. Exceptional rainfall, 5 to 10 inches of rain expected. Quite a widespread area, anywhere from the Gulf Coast all the way up into the Tennessee Valley. We've got the Appalachian Mountains, and that is expected to see orographic lift. Obviously, that moisture, that deep tropical moisture, as it gets driven into the southern flank of the Appalachian Mountains, we could see catastrophic flooding in association with that moisture running up against the orographic lift within this system. This is a very, very serious situation unfolding, and unfortunately, we are likely to see further strengthening from Helene before it comes ashore sometime in the next couple of hours. I think that is likely to be the case. So thanks for watching anyway. I will do another Helene update coming up later on Friday, so stay tuned for that. And be sure to check out the in-depth look at some of the aspects that are going on around the planet at the moment with regards to the teleconnections, the negative North Atlantic Oscillation, Arctic Oscillation. There is a 45-minute in-depth look at the bigger Northern Hemispheric view. So if you haven't already done so, please check that out. I'll greatly appreciate that. Like, share, and subscribe. You know the drill. And I'll see you next time with more. Bye for now.